And we are recording Wednesday, September 7th, 2022 at 2:07 p.m. Eastern. Episode 900. I completely forgot. It's episode 900 with
Oh,
Mathew Crawford. Yeah,
you get a
so
nice round number.
it's a sexy one. It's a big 900. It's the last 100 marker we're going to hit before 1,000. Godspeed, I hit that before an asteroid or a
How
civil war.
quickly, how quickly have you been in 1,000 podcasts? For a while, you were doing like 15 a week or so.
I was at a steady clip. So I started December 12th, 2019. I really turned up the heat like fall 2020. No, I moved in my apartment April 2021. And I was at episode 418 when I moved into this apartment a year and 5 months ago. So 17 months. And I've almost, as of now, I've well over doubled my podcast. So I don't know, man. I'm trying to do 365 this year. Today's the 250th day of the year. And I first episode of this year was 653. So I'm three behind, but I'm on my clip to do 365. Uh Slowing down a little bit intentionally. I've been sprinting a marathon for 2 years, and it's now dawning on me like it is indeed a marathon.
Yeah, I know that feeling. That's actually
Yeah.
part of the reason I'm getting up and getting out and about for 4 days.
Yeah. Well, yeah, with that, we were just talking about how you're heading out on vacation. But hey, real quick, for all the new people, please introduce yourself, man.
Mathew Crawford. I write a Substack called Grounding the Earth. Got involved in doing pandemic research and kind of dropped everything for it because I realized that there weren't enough analysts, people who could do statistics or there weren't enough people paying attention to all the strange inconsistencies and flaws in the stories. And just recently started a podcast with my friend Liam, and we're running some interviews ourselves. And um, and I have a backgrounds in education and finance. Those are sort of my two careers. If you want to track a career path, I kind of jump into whatever I'm interested in at any moment in time.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. It's and yeah, you've been on here several times before. I'll put your Substack in the description as well as your podcast because we haven't talked since you started that, I believe. Well, I mean, we've been talking about COVID and data, but I figure what we were just talking about beforehand is like, how does one get into metal mining? And not really. We were just on that for like 30 seconds, but it actually got me thinking. You took the words out of my mouth when you said what it's really for, because it's not a high pro. And by the way, anybody listening, neither of us have any idea, well, at least I know I don't have any expertise or wisdom in metal mining, but let's wing it anyway. Um,
Well, I should lay the groundwork. You just started talking about metal mining, and maybe nobody knows why. I mentioned to Tommy that I'm going to go tour a Bitcoin
yeah,
mining operation out in West Texas, and I may be investing in it. I know one of the members of the company very well, and I've actually met a whole bunch of them. I helped them move a mine a couple of years ago. But I was going out there to check it out, and Tommy said, when I said mining, he thought about metals.
yeah. When I said Bitcoin, I don't know why I thought of like bismuth or something, and
Yeah.
I just thought of you in like a tweed coat, and like a three-piece suit, maybe going out on like a really inefficient coal engine or something. You've got like an ivory cane, and you're out there smoking like a French cigarette, and you're like, look, I just imagine a bunch of like near naked, like, just like slaves strip mining. Like, I'm thinking like 1800s imperialism. I don't know why that came to my mind, but that's what I thought. But then I thought like, well, how would you get into it? And you said it as I was thinking it. If it's low profitability, it's security, right? You've got your my dad was involved in the poultry industry forever. It has nothing to do with this, but I remember him saying about like the R&D divisions about efficiency and hormones and whatever. You always want to be on the cutting edge, but you never want to be on the bleeding edge. And I mean, the cutting edge is like maybe like Skunk Works for a Lockheed Martin. The bleeding edge is like DARPA. You can do the bleeding edge if you are government funded because it doesn't need to be profitable. It's a whole different paradigm. It's not about do we have Q3 returns.
If
It's
you're young, a
that
lot of
too.
a lot of the bleeding edge developments that work out are young people who have some sort of just different vision or different go a new direction with technology, and maybe it works out, maybe it doesn't.
Yeah.
But younger people have more time to
Mm-hmm.
gamble with a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And technology is a gamble because you don't know whether or not it's going to fit and make an economic enterprise that will have a positive economic feedback loop, which is
Yeah.
what you need for something to move from that level, from bleeding edge to cutting edge. And
To
then cutting edge is those are the people who've been
the
in the
staple.
business, and they know how to incorporate a new technology. They're still able to do that before their competitors do.
Yeah. Yeah. Or yeah, young with a new vision, or kind of government specifically like national defense where DARPA, I mean, they've consciously for 7 decades, their whole thing is like, we're going to take the next, you know, you might be developing a P-51 Mustang, and your cutting edge might be, we've got some new blades that go faster. Whereas bleeding edge is like, no, fuck that. We're going to bring some Nazis over and build jet engines and rock. It's a whole new paradigm. DARPA can do that because they're on it's government payroll. And they knowingly go out and say, we're going to throw 10 things at the wall. And then we let 7 die on the vine. And then we examine the next 3. And after another year, we'll kill 2 and then quadruple down. So you can do that. They don't really have they're not beholden to any sort of like realistic model. Um,
Though to be fair, if their model is too unrealistic, then they're just wasting money,
well,
right?
yeah,
If government is just throwing money at ideas until some stick, but then there's still no like attention to return on investment. That itself says you probably have bad governance. And a good example of that might be the money that like the NIH has spent and thrown out in grants over the years. If you go over the last like 30, 40 years, if you remove the Human Genome Project, there is a negative return on investment, right? And a lot of people might call into question, wait, why are we doing this? Or is the benefit being accrued to just a very few
few
people?
people.
And that's actually the purpose of the machinery. But even the Human Genome Project did not produce as much as expected. And there's no way to know with bleeding edge developments, right?
Yeah,
But there are only a handful. You can count them with your fingers. There are only a handful of diseases that are purely genetic in nature, where we can point to some single nucleotide polymorphism, some mutation in the genome or a gene that's screwed up, and say that is the one cause, that is the thing that goes wrong. Maybe those are caused before that, but that is the one that absolutely defines the disease. Most of the others, you can look at hundreds or thousands of genes and not even get like 10% of the association. They call these like Mendelian studies that they do, where they look for all the associations amongst all 20,000 genes or however many there are, and try to associate them. But they're so complicated. There's confluence between environmental and genetic factors that makes it difficult to pinpoint them. So the Human Genome Project did not result in a whole bunch of like identification. Now we know how to cure this thing, or now we know what we might do in the future to cure this thing.
devil's advocate, you could say not yet. Just
Not yet. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and there's another thing with kind of at those national levels, um, those huge projects is often you don't have the liberty of looking or running a control, right? You have there is no like, well, let's see what the Russians do with the Nazis, and then there's oftentimes like you can't redo it. You're at this real time juggling as you go. It's like a freestyle rap. You're making it up as you go. Like maybe we want to have the Human Genome Project because it could be the next big leverage over other nations. And then in hindsight, you go, well, it wasn't really. But do you want to be sitting in a spot where 20 years later you go, oh, we should have done that? So there's another weird thing where sometimes you kind of have to just go do it, if anything, just as like denying it to other nations. And then, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna like,
Maybe,
yeah,
maybe. I think that's at least used as justification.
sure.
Whereas I think there's still an interesting argument to be made with a lot of that goes on. But hello, Jessica.
Dr. Jessica Rose, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Noted.
Have
Noted.
you had a sprint of a day?
I shouldn't admit this, but I'm not sleeping well. It's really weird for me. It's probably just my age, but like I keep waking up at 3, and that's when I start my day. So I was up at 3 again. This
Oh
is going
God,
on like 6 days.
that's the worst.
And it's like a normal day. It's so weird. Like, and I can't get to sleep till midnight. So it's
I
I even surfed today. So I'm like I'm okay, but it's like my body is like are you sure? Are you sure you want to stay awake? Are you
I
sure you want to get up now?
I went
But
through that
my
exact
mind
same
is,
thing last week. In fact, last night was the first night that I had like ordinary. I slept from like
oh
1:30 to 8:30 this morning. And that's like the
wow.
first like relatively ordinary stretch of sleep that I've had in a while. But I think it's because I'm driving out on vacation today, so my body said, like, okay, it's different now.
it's
It's no
fun
longer
now.
work time. You don't have to be expected to produce anything for a while.
Dude, I chronically sleep terribly, and I've honestly found over like 10 years of bad sleep. It just
Wow.
happens, and then one day you sleep for 14 hours. I've tried everything. I've tried every drug. I've tried every method. I've tried every to now I just have my own rule. I have the time I'm getting out of bed. And if I wake up at 3 a.m., but I don't have to be up for another 5 hours, I will just lay there. It's sort of like call my own bluff. I'll be like, no, you can't get out of bed till 8. And I might lay there for like 2 more hours. And finally my brain's like, all right, Jesus Christ. And we'll just go to sleep. So like, I
I
don't know. I
tried that today. I got up and I got some water because sometimes, it's body temperature stuff. And I peed and then I was like, screw it, I'm going back to bed. And so I did, and I just lay there for like an hour and a half, like doo 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 doo. I was like, screw this shit, I'm gonna go.
fuck, fuck,
Can I
fuck
share?
But
this.
Can I
yeah,
share one of my favorite things in the world? So I don't know if either of you practice. Tommy, you practice meditation, don't you?
Every day. Have to.
Uh,
I'll go insane if I do.
one of the things that I realized as a kid is a form of meditation is what happens when you kind of go through second sleep. Like you wake up and you know you're not ready to wake up yet. And if you don't have something that pulls you out of bed, if you don't have to get somewhere, you go back to sleep. But the sleep is a little bit different. You're more likely to have like dreams that are just on the light side, like you're not deep in sleep. And you have the kind of dreams that you, when you wake up 45 minutes later, they're on the top of your mind, right? You have
Mhm.
more control over the interaction. And a lot of times if I've been thinking about a problem, whether it's a life problem or a math problem or anything, I will intentionally focus my mind on that problem and then let myself go back to sleep, because you get that incubation. How people talk about how they have moments in the shower where they realize things, right?
Aha. Yeah.
Yeah, aha moments. What that is incubation. You think of an idea, and when you're not consciously thinking about it, it goes just beneath the surface. You always have constantly many thoughts going on in your brain at once, right? But you have those that are like closer to the surface. Maybe you could say you just have one conscious thought at a time, though I think it's a little more complex than that. But you have those that are a little bit under the surface. Whatever problems you're focused on are the ones that are very often a little bit under the surface. And that's why I think sometimes you work on them in your sleep, or you work on them in meditations, and you don't even have to consciously do it. But I think that if you set yourself up before a second sleep by focusing your attention on it, I think a lot of times you get good results. Like you're more likely to have that aha moment shortly after waking up. uh I don't know if anybody else has had this experience, but I love doing it. Like it's one of my favorite things in the world to do.
It sometimes I've found probably the most effective other than just like, I don't know, like I don't know, going to a hospital and having anesthesia. I found the most effective thing is just not look at my clock. No matter what. No matter how tempted I am, I'll just lie to my, there's this weird like Schrodinger's like alarm clock where I'm like, I think I have to get up in 15 minutes, but I might have to get up in 2 hours. And you just call your own, because once you look at it, I have an hour and 5 minutes. I'm like, oh fuck, well, it only takes 30 minutes. They just don't look at it. And your body's kind of like, well, what are we doing? What do we do? I have no idea. That honestly works more than anything. I mean, seriously, if I'm listening to something, because I was listening to something to fall asleep, I'll pick up my phone and hold my hand over like the top of it so I don't see the time. And I'll just, that works better than anything. It's this weird sort of, my brain's like, what are we doing? And I'm like, I don't know. Let's see where the fuck this goes. And that normally works. Most of the time it's just kind of downward spirals into paralyzing anxiety and stress, and then I fall asleep from exhaustion. So I don't really know. I don't really have any I don't think I have any real advice to give on that.
No, I think I just have to ride it out until it fixes itself. I really think it's it's part of the age thing. Because it's like, yeah, it doesn't feel horrible. It's just very unusual for me. Like, and I know that sleep is, it's the most important thing. And that's when your DNA repair happens. So it's like, I want, as much DNA repair as I can get. So
Sleep is food. Sleep is food. And what you're just talking about, and Jessica, everybody does this to me, and it irritates me, but I'm going to do it anyway. You probably need a vacation. Literally, after we're done with this conversation, I have my bags packed. I probably have another 20 minutes of getting things together I need to do, but I'm walking out the door for 4 or 5 days.
Wow.
I'm gonna go to a couple of national parks, and I'm gonna tour a Bitcoin mine that I might invest in. But I just like, how many 10 to 15 hour days have you work days have you had over the past however long stretch this has been during the pandemic? At some point, you have to shake things up a little bit so that you come back normal.
I think.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt. I mean, I'm not really a vacation person anyway, so it's like not something that I normally do. So but it's so true.
A vacation can mean anything. It can mean going to visit a friend. It can mean going to an
exactly,
park, right? Like you
I kind of live like I'm on vacation though. Like I do whatever I want every day. Like I don't have any commitments. So I'm on permanent vacation. So it's I need a break from my permanent vacation.
Permanent vacation.
But no, I do work hard
way too much to call it just vacation.
I don't know.
Yeah. What I need to do, I think, is to unplug. Like I need to get away from my computer because I literally, even my computer tells me I spend too much time on my computer.
Jesus Christ. That is a weird thing that you start to notice is like, so like I was having a panic attack 2 weeks ago, and it lasted like through the night, and I woke up anxious. I was like, oh fuck.
Whoa.
And I'm chronically anxious, and I tried CBD oil once before and it helped, so I went and got some like CBD oil. I got up the courage to like leave my apartment and go get some. And I mean, I'm in the state of Maryland, and I know for a fact that like weed is not legal, but I took it and accidentally got high as fuck. So there's absolutely THC during a panic attack.
Oil?
Yeah. So I was like, this is, and then I tried again like a week later. I took like 2 droppers and I got toasted. But like when I was having a panic attack, I took 9. So I was just on a different planet. But luckily, I've smoked weed 1,000 times. So like I was like, all right, I just kind of accidentally got high. So, but all that being said is I rarely smoke weed. So when it does, I kind of have like, when I do use it, I like to use it like twice a year because I like to use it like tactically. It kind of makes me re-examine life because it's such like a gut punch. It makes me, I'm like, oh, I'm not happy with this, or I really need to change that. And then it's like the Alan Watts quote about psychedelics is once you've got the message, hang up the phone. Don't keep using it. And
that's great.
So
that applies to everything like gambling.
Oh yeah. So I found I found that I can use weed for like a week at a time, maybe like
Have you
every
ever
6 months.
you ever tried kava?
Yeah, that doesn't really do anything for me. It's
So this is interesting. I've had conversations with people, and some people, it seems to, the very first time that I used kava, it was actually amazing. I probably had my highest anxiety period around the age of like 2021, and yeah, that was, I was working on Wall Street, in the middle of the Asian bond flu, long-term capital management collapse, and I'm running a $12 billion bond portfolio, through some pretty tumultuous waters, and I tried it, and it like for 2-3 days it was just amazing the first time I tried it, and then like a week later I tried it again, didn't do anything. Several times I went back like a month later, 2 months later, and tried it, and it didn't do anything. So I still don't know what to make of that, except that the first time
Tolerance.
it was such glorious relief. I thought that I had found the
yeah,
thing that I needed, but
that,
you never know how things are going to affect you.
that's
Everybody's a little bit different.
the tease of all
What's
like
kava?
it's a kava root. Is it an extract
Yeah,
or something?
yeah, root extract. That's right.
Yeah,
Um,
that's the tease of all those like remedies you find where you find it's happened to me so many times over the years and decades where I find something and I'm like, oh my god, what is it? It's like a cheat code. And then like the next day it doesn't work. And you're like, motherfucker. Like it's but when you kind of have those like deviations of consciousness, like so like accidentally got like toasted and I was like, all right, well, I find like I get the message for like 3 days to a week, and that's when I have to hang up the phone. After that, I found like all sort of quote unquote enlightenment or revelations go away, and it just turns into like the stereotype of weed. I'm just ordering fast food and watching cartoons, and I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? I'm not getting anything. I'm not getting anything out of
Listening to
this.
311.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
shoot, yeah. Amber's the. I'm like, oh, I'm like Pink Floyd really had. I'm like, what am I? I've done this before. I just spent
Oh
years doing this. I'm
man.
like, it's not time for this. But if I do it like once a year, I'll have these like, hey, you really, you maybe you need to cut down alcohol, or like you gotta start dieting again, or like you are, you don't have as close a relationship with your family as maybe you should, and that's bothering. These little things, noted, and then I'll fix them, and 6 months go by, and I'll try it. I find whenever I'm like hesitant of using weed, that's the time to use it. When I'm like, I don't want to smoke with that because I know I'm gonna start thinking about it. And it's like, well, now's the time to start thinking about. So you smoke and you kind of go through the anxiety, and then you're like,
Hmm.
oh, I need to get better at saving money or something. And then you fix it, and you fix it on a deeper level. That being said, so last week I was going through, I guess, my biannual THC adventures, and I noticed that just how much this is all tying back into Jessica saying, Dr. Rose saying, you need to unplug. Because I found myself just, I'd get up, be playing video games, I'd get up, go use the restroom or something, and just, or in between, yeah, I'd be on a podcast, go use the bathroom, and just instinctively I'd found like phone comes out, thumb goes to Twitter, Instagram, whatever. But when I was like high, I was acutely aware of just how much that like changed the vibe, right? You're at a party and there's a certain music. If someone accidentally like turns on the lights at a bar or like turns the music from like, upbeat, let's get fucked up to like Beethoven, you very quickly, you're like acutely, you're like, what is this? Like, what is going, when you're out laying in the sun, I don't because I'm fluorescently white, but if you're laying in the sun, your eyes are closed, you don't even have to see it, but you can feel when a cloud goes across the sun. You're like, what is that? Or you
Yeah,
feel
of
like
course.
you feel the pressure drop. You're like, oh, a storm's coming. I was acutely aware of that. Just how quickly I went from like just truly, I was like, oh, this is, getting high. I was like, sometimes I forget. I'm like, I'm my own boss. I get to do a podcast for a living. I'm like, this is great. Like, this is the coolest thing. Yeah, like I've been trying to get to this point for years. I call my mom every night. I play video games with my best friends every night. Like I work out every day. I wake up when I want. I talk to whoever. I was like, this is fucking badass. Just really joyful, blissful gratitude for my everyday. I'm like, I have my own apartment with an air conditioner. I can take a hot shower. Just like, oh, this is cool. Like,
but you can still wind up in a state that you would prefer to perturb every once in a while
Sure.
so that you can be deliberate about your next moves.
Very true. But I would find in the moment of this just like blissful, oh, this is so cool. I get to talk to Dr. Rose. I get to talk to Matt. And like we're just fucking around talking about whatever we want. I would then go get on Twitter for 10 seconds and like shifting a song or like the cloud going in front of the sun, like my heart rate would go up ever so slightly, just a little bit.
Yeah.
I would stop noticing things around. Oh, it's sunny out. I'm thinking about getting like a puppy. Like I'm gonna go visit my parents for Thanksgiving, and I'd just be like,
And it's so funny, like, because
it
all the
starts to pull you
stuff.
down. You're like, oh fuck.
Well,
You're like,
it's more than that because it's not real.
that's the other
It's
thing.
like
It's not.
not even real, and it doesn't fucking. Oh, it doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
Oops.
Yeah. No, but it was like first it starts to suck you in. You're like, oh man, Joe Biden just said, or Trump just said, or Putin's doing. And so not only does it start to rob you of today, but then like every once in a while, like accidentally drop my phone and I like fall down like while I'm peeing. I'm like, I can't go get it. And instantly it sucked me out of it. And I'm just sitting there, hear a bird chirping. And it just like I can hear the guest monologuing, the dryer's going. I'm like, oh, like, what is, and like this thing is just, I mean, I'm not going to be some like, Puritan or absolutist and say like there's nothing good about it, but like I found immediately when I started pulling those things up, just zoom, like not to sound all new age, but I mean, really like a lower vibration, just full of like anxiety. And, even if you don't buy into it, you're like, look at all these people just so fucking angry at each other. It's own the libs, own the conservatards, fucking America this. And you're like, oh, we're just looking at all this stuff. And I mean, you shouldn't be like ignorant of the world. I mean, you do live in a world that you should be aware of.
All the
But
people in the bots.
yeah, but that's the other thing is like how many people am I even dealing with, and how many of these things are
Yeah.
just software, just needling at you to get a response, which people are directly profiting
They
from
do,
you
and that's their
responding.
job.
So
I read that Twitter is like the Twitterverse or whatever they call it is 80% bots, and I wouldn't doubt it.
I wouldn't doubt it at
I
all.
have friends who spend enormous amounts of time and energy wasted on that thing,
Yeah.
the Twitter thing, and like, I was there, and then they suspended me because they're dumb. But like, I didn't enjoy it one day. It didn't feel good to me. I never connected to it, thank God. Because
Yeah.
I really got sucked into Facebook. I was like a Facebooker for like 15 years. Like
But
I was
even that,
devoted.
even
Yeah,
that pulls you in.
I was in a small, focused, very high IQ. I won't say who was in it, but Signal chat group, and I was surprised that so much of the time was spent talking about how to craft the perfect tweet. And I eventually left the discussion group, but I just, it felt very weird to me. I don't know. Yeah.
It's kind of Terrence McKenna used to say it, and he'd be like, he'd always say, don't digest culture. He'd say you're called. He's like, your life is not what, and he died in the year 2000. So kind of he's like, your life is not what Bill Clinton says. It's not the viewpoint of Ronald Reagan. It's not what Iran's doing. Like your taste in music is not what's on the Billboard 100. He would say like
Mine definitely isn't. I was
Yeah.
listening to Slayer earlier.
Hell yeah. But he had some quote, but he's like, you need to be here he had some weird way of saying it's how he always talked. But he was like, basically your culture is like the inside jokes with you and your friends. When it's kind of like speciation, you go to like Galapagos Islands and go to another island and they're so far genetically drifted that they're not at all like. You ever kind of have like one of your close friends sort of introduce you to like another friend group he's in, and you hear the inside jokes and you're like, what are y'all even talking English? Right? Like one of my best friend, probably my best friend of like 20 years, has got another friend that over the last couple of years I've become good friends with, but he's also known this guy for 20 years. They live together and they have these cats and they call them tummies, right? Because they have these fat stomachs. And I remember the first time going over there, and I've known this guy like literally like pre 9/11. That's how long I've known him. But I remember the first time we hung out, they were talking like, "Where are my tummies?" And I was like, "The fuck are y'all? Are you brain dead? Like, what happened? Have you been?" And they're like, "What, And everything was about a tummy this, a tummy that. And now, like 4 years into it, I'm friends with them. We get online, and it's like, all right, we're the tummies, and like, everything's a tummy joke. It's you're playing a game where you're shooting people in the face, and you're like, "Oh, I'll give them a tums between the eyes," right? But he would say, Terrence McKenna would say, make your own culture, like devolve. And he's like, your highs like are your orgasms that like no one else witnesses but you and your partner. Like these are your things. Don't digest it. And more, whether it's Twitter making you convinced that the world's about to fall into civil war, or Facebook and Instagram convincing you that you're inadequate and everyone else is sexier and happier and farther ahead in life, what that even means, versus YouTube, versus everything pulling you in, versus like, dude, that's not real. And the more you unplug from it, everything around, I mean, it's pretty. You have food, water, my door locks, and I have a bed. Like
Your door
that's
locks.
I'm like, that's yeah, no, a door lock. So when I go to sleep and I'm unconscious, no one comes in. Food and water, the refrigerator works, the toilet works, the shower works. Aside from that, like the fuck else do I need? You start getting sucked into these things. You're like, oh my God, we're giving all the Stinger missiles to Ukraine. I'm like, I'm 32 with a biology degree. What the fuck do I know and or care about the production of Stinger shoulder to air missiles? Like, what do I even? I'm like, oh God, we're moving troops to Taiwan. Like, I mean, it probably is important, but like, what in the ever living fuck do I know or care about? Instead, you know what? Like, I went and got a new debit card this morning. My old one expired. That was cool. I had a good laugh at the gym, like, or
you're
at the bank.
cutting into why it is that like the Western Mandarins or a Globohomo completely misunderstands the flyover states.
Yeah.
And for anybody, actually, I should say, global homogenous culture.
No, global home.
Right. Like, yeah, this is where you don't have people who are creating their own culture, who don't get, the inside jokes that have been around for 20 years that turn into 2-word phrases,
Yeah.
that turn into
Tum
the
tum.
series of 2-word phrases that are spit out in 6 different,
Yeah,
enunciations
iterations.
over a period of 15 seconds, and an entire conversation has happened between 2 people that nobody else would understand.
Yeah.
Probably every Midwestern town has 10 of those subcultures, and people communicating meaningfully, in their twang and in their different culture, and the Mandarins don't get it, and they don't get what they're missing. They don't ever dip in and experience it, or it's discouraged. It is denigrated to the point that it's kind of like cancel culture, or it is a piece of cancel culture. It is something that they're taught to avoid, but they don't know what they're avoiding.
Yeah, and it's
Right.
uh like a portion of my extended family lives in like they and like a bunch of other people. I don't know, maybe like 50 other families. They're all kind of like in and around this area. It's like a not even really a lake. It's like a big pond up in the middle of bumblefuck New England. And like they all have their own solar panels, their own mini windmills. They all have like compost. They all garden. They all hunt. They have their own well water. They help each other out. Like what they all like collect all their beer cans together, and like they use that at the end of the year to like they pool together for like a community snowplow, and they still go into town, which itself is tiny, but like an hour away. But I mean, they're in the woods and they kind of got their own thing going on. I've often joked that like a fucking thermonuclear warhead could go off in Times Square and they wouldn't know for 2 or 3 weeks. Like it would just be, aside from maybe, if you hit one in Boston, you might be able to see a glow in the distant horizon. And I've always been like jealous of that. And I still am. And I hope to get up there one day. But, and I've always thought, well, I'm in Maryland. I gotta fucking, unfortunately I can't dip out from society. But what I found with like meditation and even just unplugging, just taking the apps off my phone. I download them every day to upload the podcast to, and then I delete them all. It's like a 5-minute retarded process, but I do it for my own mental health because despite living in more of an urban area, if you remove all those things from your portal to the outside world, you can start to almost live in your own secluded mountain lake area, just in your mind. It's just when I remove everything, I'm hearing like the immediate reality, like where I walk 45 seconds to the gym and I see like the same geese every day. And I always throw gang signs to the geese. I don't know why. They always honk at me and I'm like, yo, what up? And then like I always see the same people at the gym. And I'm always like, fucking West Side,
That's
back the
better
fuck
than
up.
mine.
Like I always like wave to if I see a turtle and I'm like, oh, I'm like, you new here? And
I
people,
saw two turtles today.
yeah, but that's what I mean. Like these, I think you talked about it in one of our past episodes, like the profundity of talking to cats. Like,
Yes, that was the name of it.
yes, like dial the fuck out. Like, well, the petrodollar's not backing up the grain in Ukraine and gas prices and the Nord Stream versus like you just hear like your sneakers just crunching on the gravel, like, wah, wah, and I'm like, West Side motherfucker, and like keep walking. Like that is more. That is you can back everything away. When I turn off all the connections to the outside world, I start to like recognize like the garbage people. I'm like, hey, what's up? Like, introduce him like Phil. Like, hey, what's up, Phil? It's not much, but even just a simple like you make eye contact with someone 100 yards away every day on the way to the gym and just give them a little one of these and they see you. Even that, you start to create your own little mountain community in your mind. And it's so much more relaxing versus sometimes I'll like forget. I'll upload all the podcasts or whatever, and I'll forget to delete the apps. I mean, without even realizing it, I'll find myself just laying, just scrolling. I'm like, oh, they graduated. They're a lawyer now. They got kids. Oh, look at this happening in Twitter. And I'm like, and I'll find even without weed, I'll just find in general, I'm sort of sinking down. Whether
Can I
it's
play
anger,
devil's advocate?
go ahead.
Yeah. So I like I'm very worried about the way it is that social media is knocking on us. At the same time, I feel like you almost have to go in and experience it to get a sense of what's going on.
Oh,
And,
100%.
and that,
Right.
that you have to go in, you have to understand what the problems are. Like you have to go in realistically and understand like what the bots of Twitter are. I'm even running an overt hashtag experience. I have hashtag overt hashtag experiment where I'm adding random tags, not random, actually politically oriented tags to see how many bots start following me, even though I'm saying the exact opposite of what that bot would think that I would want to say, that they would want me to say. And I've wound up getting followers and like, shown pictures of their profiles, like this person would not be following me, but you just put hashtag blue wave on a tweet and suddenly you have, 12 new followers.
I should start
But going in, you kind of need to see what it is that Globohomo is doing in the world. Like, what does it actually look like? And social media is the best face of Globohomo.
Yeah.
Right? It's presenting its face to you, this weird amalgam of all these people performatively, acting out what they believe, whatever their weird brainwashing or, whatever it is. And libs of TikTok, presents this very well. And just to cut in and say this, like I'm I feel like I'm a fairly liberal person. Like I never really felt like I was sort of like on this, either real end of the whole conservative liberal spectrum, and I don't like that as an axis.
No, it's not good.
I think that there's lots of good intersection between liberal values and conservative values. But I guess my point being, you go in and you see what the face of Globohomo looks like through social media, and you can't not experience that and have a good idea of what's going on in the world.
Yeah, it's what am I looking for? It's like a weird recreation. It's I don't know, how do I put it into words? You see this, it's like it's an odd it's like the age-old trope of like, oh, it used to be cool and then they went corporate, or like, it used to be a great restaurant and then it became a chain. You can see this thing where it starts as these, the tummies, the inside jokes, or the mountain community, or talking to cats, and then someone with dollar signs in there. And hey, I'm a capitalist. I don't see it as a bad thing. That being said, you see someone takes it and they go and they try to blast it to the world, and it's lacking there's a comedian who I listen to named Ray Kump who used to work in a morgue, and he talk about how he can't even put it into work. He's a brilliant guy, but he'd say you'd see someone that just died. I mean, from an overdose. No mangling of the body, no disease. I mean, to the point where like they're still warm. And you're like, but you could look at them, and granted, you're in a morgue, so you know they're dead. But he's like, there's something that there's like a light that's not there. He's an atheistic guy. He's not, but he's like, you just look at it, and there's a spark that's not there, even though it's identical. And I kind of get that feeling when you see like an astroturfed movement online, or they're trying to make it a meme, or you look at a song on YouTube and it's got 320 million views. You're like, well, it must be good. And then you listen to it and you're like, this is actually kind of fucking sucks. There's this weird, like,
Gangnam Style.
yeah, but there's this weird, like, there's like a certain spark that's not there. Like McDonald's
I
is good. Like a
I think that
Whopper is
that
good.
describes all of Globohomo.
Yes. Like,
I think they get put through these schools, starting at a very early age, that enforces so much conformity. The schools are built like prisons. A bell rings, and it's like the alarm
Schnell,
clock, except
Achtung.
there's so much obedience training that goes on. But then once that obedience training is established, whoever has control gets to decide, what it is that those people pay attention to next, and then you get the skilled TV watchers, as JJ
Yeah,
Cooey calls them. I love that phrase.
that's a great
The moment I
phrase.
heard that, I realized how much it connected to, post schooling and the global homo culture, even amongst these extraordinarily well educated people. The people who can, soak up tremendous amounts of information, learn a profession, learn great technical skills, and yet they don't know that this is going on. They don't know that it's happening to them, that it's almost like, it's very much like a drug addiction, and they're too state oriented, too much state dependence. And there is some spark that they would have to find again by perturbing that, but they're so afraid to perturb it because of cancel culture, right? There's so much need for conformity that they can never step away from that signal. And I think that causes a certain spark to go out. And it's a brainwashing process. Yeah, and we've seen it many times in history. Jessica and I were supposed to be in a discussion with Matthias Desmet the other day. Unfortunately, he didn't make it. And I was hoping to bring this up with him, to talk about what is the effect of, like overt brainwashing, not just like there, I buy into the idea that there's free floating anxiety, and that people need something to connect to, like some sort of pull where they all feel like this is the right pull because there's so many other people connecting to it, right? I think this is part of the job of the bots of Twitter, is to make the thought leaders look like poles that people connect to. I think that Twitter is absolutely an engineering device for mass formation, but there are also people who are just, quite severely brainwashed. And of course, there's a lot of like conspiracy theory about people being brainwashed, but we have good historical examples like the Hashishim of it was a Shiite, maybe it was Persian Shiite sect, where you had this guy who went out into the desert, claimed some castles that were already out there, right? Like either that were abandoned, or he pushed people off them. But what he would do is he would buy children from parents who couldn't afford them, or he would get a whole lot of children, and he created this brainwashing system. The males in particular, when they were reaching that age of puberty, he would drug them. And this is where hash comes from, in Hashishim. He would drug them, take them into this lush garden. They were attended to by whores, young women who, that was their job when he would buy them. But, whores, feasting, all the food they could want, more drugs, wine, whatever. And then he would drug them and take them out. And then he would tell them that they had experienced heaven, that they had a vision. And of course, they're around all these other people who say, yeah, I had the same vision. Mine was 2 years ago, blah, blah, blah. You get people believing in this thing that goes on. And suddenly you have a homogenous culture of severely brainwashed people who just want to get back to heaven, right? You have a cult, and he would literally use his cult to perform assassinations, either for his own political end or for take bids from people, right? There were centuries, like nobody even knows when this ended. Nobody knows when the Hashishim stopped. And this is the Hashishim. This is where the word assassin comes from, right? I think maybe it was the Europeans, and the Europeans thought that a lot of assassinations that were happening in Europe in like the 13, 14, 15, 1600s were attributable to these assassins. But nobody actually knows if the Hashishim were still going after the 1200s or so. But the point is that once people know that technology is available, once people understand that level, one, of course you can expect it's happening. The Russian Red Rooms were, who knows if the people who created that program had direct understanding of the Hashishim. They may have based it on that. There are other historical examples of the creation of golems. That's a word that gets used in some cultures. But then, maybe Globohomo has its own Hashishim. Maybe even the educational process and the indoctrination process into the universities and into the professions. Maybe they have the sense of this. Maybe they give a taste of heaven, and then they remove it, but have everyone believing this is what you're going to. I've often wondered if that's what part of like the whole singularity discussion is about, because that discussion has been going on for decades, and it's always like, hey, transhumanism is just around the corner. We're going to upload our minds to machines. That's like next year, right? And you always hear that a certain portion of the AI people going, it's just around the corner, or the anti-aging experts saying, we're going to have this liftoff, this exponential curve of life extension. And I think that this becomes part of this like internal brainwashing process that is part of everything that we're experiencing right now. And it's part of the reason why we're so confused about these insane decisions made by, large portions of the leadership, the science class, the technology class.
It's so when I pulled up my phone a second ago, I was pulling up a quote about the spark. It's from Ram Dass. Within each of us, there was once a fire, and for some of us, it seems as though there's only ashes now. But when we dig in the ashes, we find one ember, and we very gently we fan that ember. We blow on it, and it gets brighter. And from that ember, we rebuild a fire. And all we're doing for all of eternity is sitting around the fire. And like that is a thing where, I mean, you can feel that realism, right? I mean, you can go get a fucking, chicken nuggets. You can go get a pint of ice cream. You can go get whatever. You can eat yourself into a coma, and it's great. And I will do it many more times, but it's never quite as satisfying as like homemade food on Thanksgiving or Christmas. It puts you in a different kind of food coma, and you can never quite recreate. I mean, there is a dopamine rush to nailing a big podcast, getting a big guest out, right? Getting a spike in views, or you're like, fuck yeah, you built the thing. I mean, like, or you can play a video game and it can kind of reproduce the dopamine where you finally beat a level or something. But then very quickly it's not there, because the second you turn off the screen, that whole reality goes away. And it's lacking the spark. It gets really, really good at mimicking the fire, but it's not real. And Mathew, as you said, deep down, we all know how to get to it, but there's a bit of it's the paths diverging in the woods. You can go from the fake path to the real path, but yeah, you do kind of have to walk through some like thick woods for a little bit. You're gonna get cut up and bit by a mosquito, and your shoes are gonna get wet. But like, you can go back to the real path where like the spark is real, where it's not fluorescent lighting, it's sunlight. It's not an industrial fan. It's like a summer wind. You can go back there. It's pulling you. It's something deep inside that I don't know what it is. There's some weird instinctual thing, but there's also a fear, because although the artificial one's artificial, there's still some level of comfort. There's still there's nothing better than waking up, going into the gym, doing some push-ups, getting on the treadmill, lifting weights, and it just wakes you up. You can roll out of bed and just like slam a Red Bull. It's like, I've done it for podcasts. Like, you're there, but you're never quite as awake. It's not as clear. It's not as deep. It's, I mean, like we talked about earlier, smoking weed, pick up the phone, get the message and put it down. You can take a Xanax, you can have a couple beers. Those will get rid of like your internal doubts and anxieties for a bit. It's never even holds a candle to actually going and instead of getting fucked up and being like, I just don't want to think about this right now, just going, I gotta answer all these emails. I just have to do this right now. Like I have to clean my shower. I just have to. I've got to fucking I've got to go to Walmart, not even get groceries. I got to get the shit that like you rarely have. I got to go get a broom. I got to go get I got to go get Clorox. I got to go get like whatever. But once you finally go and get it all and you make that like that bitch of a trip and you're bringing shit in and out of your apartment, there's like a level of peace after it that is real, right? Even Jessica's tired as fuck right now. You could take a caffeine pill and you'll wake up a little bit. Nothing's going to be as good as when you finally get a full night of sleep. You wake up and it just hits different. And I mean, I guess I don't know what the prescription is. It's just unplug and you can find that real, I guess.
Can I share one more quote with you?
Yeah.
Who is it that wrote the quote that you read a moment ago?
Ram Dass, formerly
Okay.
Richard Alpert.
Here's Charles Bukowski. Don't quit. Save a tiny little ember.
Yeah.
Spark, and never give them that spark, because as long as you've got that spark, you can start the greatest fire again.
Yeah. A single spark can burn down a forest. I love that Bukowski quote. Is just hold on to a little bit. And I don't know. I mean, is there some deeper thing? Does that cause bad sleep? Just not being unplugged? I don't know. I really don't know. But we kind of like, there's some weird thing where like, again, Terrence McKenna, what?
Get a cat?
Oh, we can't see it.
He's snuggled up into my lap and he's like literally just looking up at me like
You're gonna give me your attention now.
but that's reality. Like fuck everything else. There's a cat on your lap like purring. Like that's it.
I agree with you.
Yeah. No, fuck everything and everybody else.
It's not superficial. It's like
it's real.
This is reality, because if I don't feed him, he won't survive.
Yeah. No, it's right here. There's like, again, there's like there's
well, and you to see the adoration, when they put their chin on your hand and they really don't want your hand to move.
Yeah. And like press down on it. Yeah. No, like that is that, and there's a weird. Terrence McKenna said it. The problem or the thing about life is not finding the answer; it's facing the answer. Because so long as you think you haven't found the answer yet, you can sort of launder any responsibility or long-term obligations to. I just have I get that all the time with this podcast. I've kept an Excel spreadsheet since the day it started, December 12th, 2019. If I look back at it 1 year ago, so September 7th, 2021, almost to a T across all platforms, BitChute, Odyssey, Rumble, Spotify, views, downloads, whatever, it's grown tenfold. If I go back to September 7th, 2020, across all platforms, it's grown tenfold again. And a tenfold annual growth rate is fucking great. But I'm impatient and I want it now. But the reality is this is so long as I think I just haven't figured it out yet, I don't have to address because what's the 800-pound elephant in the room is, so you just have to keep at it for a couple more years. And you kind of don't want to address that. Like, oh God, that's a lot of work. By thinking, I just haven't got the right guest yet. It's this carrot. It's this high that you can put in front of you where you're like, I just have to get the right guest and then it's going to blow up. And it's maybe, but the reality is it's probably, I just have to find the right workout. No, you just have to do the workout you're doing every day for 5 years. That's the thing we don't want to address. If I just download this workout program and take this supplement. Nope.
Once.
Yeah. Find the one that you want to enjoy.
Yeah. And do that. And it's like, that's facing the answer. And so I said that to say, like, deep down, I think like we all know what to do. There is some like deep instinctual programming. Like we know get good sleep, to exercise, to eat healthy, to not eat too much, to have friends, to not get sucked into the internet. It's really not a complex equation, yet it's so fucking hard to do. And I just got to find the right playlist. I just got to find the right video game. No, 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 no. Real relationships, real laughing, real love. Go and see the geese. Like, that's it. And we don't want to face that because it's so much easier to say, I just got to get a better prescription. No, you just need to stop eating food, you fucking fat ass. And that's me talking to myself. Like, there's no secret. There is no secret. Eat less. But once you finally start doing it, you get the message and you can hang up the phone. And it's just a level of peace that just trumps everything else. I don't really know why I'm going on this rant or where it's going or what the point of it is, but yeah. I don't
It
know.
was good.
Thank
We're
you.
talking about we're talking about connecting back to things that are healthy from the strange world that we're experiencing now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was asked this yesterday for the first time by someone who interviewed me, like, what do you do to stay sane in all of this? And it was really surprising to me that, like, I mean, I've been doing one or two of these every day for like a year and no one asked me that yet. And I was like, oh, okay. And so yeah, we had this conversation basically, like, you know, I have very structured, like, very simple routine. And I guess I don't need to adhere to it. I don't like using that word, but it's nice if I can.
Mm-hmm.
So it always involves sunlight. That's so important. And I'm lucky to get it. So it's like, yeah, I'm gonna go take that, little gift today. And just bonding with nature and having, like, you don't really notice how insane everyone is until you can notice how insane everyone is. And I think in order to be able to do that, you can't be connected to this device. I'm oversimplifying, but when I walk like an hour a day. And I never bring like a device. I used to. I was taking my iPhone everywhere for music or, to make sure I got my phone calls or whatever. And I'm like, I never do that now. But every single person that I see on the walk that I do is connected to this. And so they're not connected to the sounds of the sea or the geese or all the amazing things that are just happening. And I guess most people don't really give a rat's ass about what the clouds look like today, or like the sound of
back to the wrong heaven.
Yeah.
And I think that's a shame. I think that that maybe a lot of it is just not being insane when you encounter the connected mechanistic Globohomo face of the world or something like that. And yeah, how you live your life before connecting with it probably has a lot to do with it.
Yeah, that's totally true. I mean, I was raised in Northern Ontario myself, and my dad and I would go camping. When we went on vacations, we would drive to the Great Lakes, usually Lake Superior. And back then it wasn't too polluted to swim in. So it always involved fishing and cooking outside and tents and fires. It's been when you mentioned a campfire, Tommy, I was like, oh my God. I think it's been well over a decade since I've sat near a fire, and that's not okay.
That's not good.
I mean, a campfire on the beach, just looking at the fire. There's something very hypnotizing about looking at embers in the nighttime.
There's something
by the
so
ocean.
primal about it.
Ugh, and you just I've done it and got lost for hours.
Oh,
Better than
yeah.
any trip I've ever been on. It's like,
better than any LSD is sitting just next to a fire and just watching it. Like, yeah, that vine just fell down. It
weird.
Yeah, it just
Hello.
yeah. Oh, hello, Mr. Vine. Welcome.
The nice thing, if it's coming to get you, they're
Yeah.
real slow.
Yeah,
That's the good thing about plants.
Yeah, next time it'll be on my shoulder and then it'll be in my head.
slowly wrapping around you. It's just very slow. But there is like going up to like my parents' place, go up and it's like out in like the snow and just building a fire. I mean, you can sit there for I've done it by myself, just like 2 hours. It's just there's snow on the ground, it's quiet, and just like logs are just like hissing and popping and falling and you just sit there and like your mind just sort of goes zoom and you just watch it and it like massages your soul. It's
Yeah.
And it's despite being 2022, that is still more like enchanting and calming than even a $1 billion CGI virtual reality. Like, no, that's all well and good. It's like, go just fucking throw some twigs together and let it on fire. It's so much better than Avatar. Like, it's just, you can get whatever. 4K TV video, sure, great, fantastic. Get a stick and put it in the fire, and then pull out the stick and go, now the stick's on fire. That's fucking great. That's fantastic. If you're near water, you dip it in the water and it sizzles out. It's amazing. It's really not that complex.
Speaking of which, have the two of you seen? There's an article on MedPage today. I don't know if it's showing up anywhere else yet, but it says a death knell for cadavers. Is it time to say RIP to this staple of medical training? And they're talking about training medical students on virtual reality instead of them actually going through bodies.
Oh, eat a dick. Fuck off. What? No, operate on a body like mine.
They won't be operating on me.
Yeah. No.
Well, yeah, and actually, my first thought when I saw it was actually, wow, do we have? Are we worried that too many bodies are going to have signs of whatever has actually gone on during the pandemic?
Ooh.
Right, like these clots that people are pulling out, which I still like. This pandemic is so weird that I still have a reservation on that, even though people that I trust.
So do I. You're the only other person I've heard say anything like that. And I'm very firm on it. And everyone asks me because of my hemoglobin red blood cell amyloid hypothesis. And they're like, is that why we're seeing those white things? And I'm like, listen, I need more sources. I've actually sent some people I know to go find me more morticians, more stories.
Yes,
more
you have to get independent understanding of these things. Of
course, that's what good journalism is, and basically that's what we're doing. So it's like different sources, completely unknown people, and I'm not saying it's not real. Absolutely not, because there's a list of doctors or embalmers, but for the evidence that I've seen, the physical evidence has only come from one person. So I'm like, that's not good enough for me. It's good. It's a start. And yes, okay, maybe people are afraid to come out, and I get that too. But it means, and this is why it's important to me, I don't have a good answer for anyone, because I can't definitively say, yes, I say what I always say about stuff when asked a direct question. I'm like, well, you know what? I haven't done it myself, so I can't really say. So, but who knows, right? White, rubbery, proteinaceous, fibrous structures. It makes sense.
And it's really important to maintain that level of skepticism and to maintain that distance from even the people that you've worked with or the people that you trust.
Yeah, totally.
During something like this, because I've been through this experience myself where I have done specific research and I see a propaganda campaign that is formed around this research to blot my findings out and to push amongst our community, the people who are, trying to poke back at I don't know, pandemic authoritarianism. And specifically, my analysis of the Defense Medical Epidemiological Database. I was asked to go in and look at the queries that had been run that Thomas Renz had presented with the whistleblowers at the Senator Johnson hearing. And I went in and I found, one, that some of the calculations just weren't done right. And the people who were saying these numbers, they've never shown like the queries, for instance, and they could put them on the screen very easily. But I think that they don't, because you will see that the queries are not being matched up properly. I have all these queries, so I know this, right? But the second is that that they did not check the historical numbers to make sure that they were matching their denominator. It looked like they should have thought there's something wrong here, or maybe I shouldn't say they should have. A good an experienced data mind would have said, wait, these numbers are so different that I need to find a way to check previous rates or previous numbers or something. And those were available. They were available. They were published. I found them. I made the comparison and I said, something's wrong here. So I found out that the DoD was not lying when they said there was a glitch in the database. Now, we still don't know the nature of it. We don't know if it was intentional, unintentional. We don't know if it was part of their own propaganda operation. We still don't know why it is that this glitch would have gone unnoticed for months if anybody was using this database in a responsible way. But what's happened is there have been people who didn't want my findings to come out, who have literally sort of commercialized the original findings and made videos, found people who were willing to make videos, claiming these numbers, who I doubt have ever looked at the original queries or understand them if they have, or have seen, the articles that I've written explaining, what's happened and where we need to go for further investigation. But there are meetings being held with hundreds or thousands of people where statements are made like, these findings are widely accepted to be true, referring to the original rinse numbers at the hearing. And I even pointed out in an article that I wrote recently that that part of that projection has come from like people in the DoD who are specifically psychological warfare operation specialists. Like they even, that's what's on their Twitter account. Jesus, and here they are blasting out this information. And I'm just like, wow, that's, this is suspect. But in the meantime, you have two stories that both appear to be false on one level or another. And there are a lot of people who could help me out with this, but they don't.
Psychological war. It's like when you see like James Clapper, former, was he CIA or NSA chief?
He was
like,
CIA.
Yeah, he's on CNN and he's.
Wait, was Clapper FBI? Anyway,
no, Clapper was CIA.
Yeah, you're right.
Hayden was NSA. When you see him on TV, and like the spooks spook, like at the heart of the military industrial complex when they're on TV and they're like, we need to go into Syria, and everyone's like, well, you fucking said it. It's like, man, it used to be that like they would try to like, get assets in these news companies, Operation Mockingbird, or just not even have an asset, have someone that doesn't know they're an asset, but kind of craft their own thinking. Now they just straight up go on there. You have these pale ghouls in black suits that are just like, we need to bomb the fuck out of Yemen, and everyone's like, see, we got to do it. And it's like, dude, that is the trope of like evil. That is Henry Kissinger incarnate. But it's 3:15, and like I said, I have to run. I have a hard out at 3:15. I have another podcast, so unfortunately, I got to kind of cut this one rather abruptly. But Matthew Crawford, Mr. Matthew Crawford, I'll put your Substack in your podcast in the description. Dr. Rose, I will put your Substack in the description.
I have a new Substack. Mm-hmm. It's jessica5b3.substack.com.
Can you put that?
I have a new newsletter on the go because the other one was too full. I was like scroll, like trying to go down to find another one, and I'm like, this is dumb. I'm gonna start a new one.
Can you drop that link in the email thread, like right after this, so I can put it in the description? And Matthew, can you link your podcast so I can put that in there?
Sure.
Thank you so much, Matthew. Enjoy your vacation.
Are we going?
Thank you.
Yeah, I have to run.
It does feel like we just began this
Oh.
conversation. Like there's so many interesting threads we could go, but we'll do this another day, right?
I'm
Right?
sorry. I know. I'm sorry. I had to cut this one rather short. And Dr. Rose, I hope you get some sleep. And
Yeah, no, I'm tired. So, and I surfed today, and it was like, the waves were big. I took all the biggest ones. You guys will be happy to know, and was told that I was the best surfer out there. And anyway, I'm not kidding.
fuck yeah.
So I'm really hoping, dudes, that I get barreled in a dream soon.
Jesus Christ, man. That plant's gonna kill you. That plant's gonna give you the sleep you need. But yeah,
That's fine.
I'm sorry I had to cut this one short. I have several podcasts yesterday that all got pushed to today, and now I'm trying to make everybody happy. And I'm hoping.
All right. Well, good luck, and keep your energy, because that's an important thing.
Yes, ma'am. I will go pet cats and tummies and talk to geese. That's the only fucking word.
Good.
Fuck Globohomo. Fuck the technocratic dictator.
One day, it won't just be Campfire Wiki. It will be real campfire and us three drinking beers.
Let's
How
make
about
that happen.
Let's 100%.
We will.
No, let's 100% do that. Let's get shit faced and do like a 6-hour podcast.
Yeah, we need to get you on a plane, Jessica.
We're getting you on a plane. We're gonna assemble a team.
Private plane so that I can bring my cat. I am there. I
All right,
swear to
let's
God.
not get crazy. I don't have any.
Yeah.
I was thinking more like.
I promise you, if we can crowdfund that shit, I'm
Well,
there. I'll
I'm
just
thinking
find a
more
way to get
cheapest
a
ticket,
passport.
11 layovers. It'll take you a week to get here. We'll call it private.
No, private jet, one way, no stops.
I'll have my
cat
team that doesn't exist. We'll put it together. I'll talk to my investors who also don't exist.
Oh, I believe in miracles, man. If you have a real intention, you can realize.
But if anybody
If you
listening to
just
this is interested, fucking start commenting and fuck it, we'll do it. We'll put Jessica on a goddamn private G6 and fly her over here. And that will be the 99% of the expenses towards this podcast.
Just because I want to bring my fat cat.
Bring the
and
cats.
he can't go on a
Bring the
regular
cats,
plane.
and we will go light a fire and talk.
Just one. He's he's enormous, but he's just one cat.
Well, fuck it.
All right.
Let's do it. Let's actually put Jessica on a plane.
We will.
Let's do it.
I'll bring the beer.
Fuck yeah. Let's do this thing. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you for listening. God bless both. I'll put the links in this. Please drop those links in the email so I can put them in the description. And
Already done.
another one. Oh, thank you so much. All right. Take care, everybody.